or not, music censorship in America did not begin with Tipper Gore's reaction to her daughter's Prince album. From provocative lyrics to risque album covers, the issue of music censorship has been around for decades. Pop culture writer and program director of Kent State's WKSU-FM, Eric Nuzum, has chronicled music censorship in America in his book, Parental Advisory. He joins us now with more. Thanks for being here today.
Eric, you're the hot man in the seat today.
All right.
To know, buddy.
Gearing up for this show today, Dave and I were so excited because there's so much to talk about with this topic.
Yeah, you get to talk about salacious, dirty things.
Yes,
got it.
Yeah, that's our kind of show. But as I mentioned in the intro, it didn't begin with Tipper Gore. Let's go back, way back,
to
the first time that you found anything.
The first example I have in the book is from 1865. After the Civil War, Reconstruction, during Reconstruction, they forbid the Northern occupation troops or Reconstruction troops forbid people in the South from singing pro-South songs. There's a song called Bonnie Blue Flag and one called I'm a Good Old Rebel, which is just about the South is great, boy, we really, should have done better than we did.
Okay.
And they weren't allowed to perform them in public anymore.
Okay, but the whole dynamics changed. I mean, because this is just like a verbal warning. You're not allowed to perform this. Or what were the ramifications back then?
It was illegal. It was
illegal?
Illegal. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're talking serious business if you were to sing any of those songs.
Right.
All right. When you were doing your research, I mean, why did you decide that this was an important issue to tackle in a book?
Well, I think because when you're dealing with issues of music censorship, a lot of it is done, it's kind of a difficult problem in the sense that a lot of it is done with the best of intentions. People trying to protect their children, people trying to protect people who they think are more impressionable. But in the process, they take things with the best of intentions and make it available for no one to listen to. And when I was a sophomore in college, it was 1985 when Tipper Gore and the PMRC started. And I remember watching those hearings on television or watching them on the different shows they were on and saying, this really is something I care about deeply, music. And I'm not Gandhi or Martin Luther King, but I'm a pretty good person. This hasn't ruined me. I'm not going out and beating people up or killing myself or shooting up drugs or all this stuff that people were professing that this stuff would make me do. And so it just kind of became an issue that kind of followed over the years. And as it kind of got more and more involved, I spent more and more time with it.
Okay. Now, do you think that Tipper had good intentions when she set forth into this this whole thing that now has to do with parental advisory warnings?
She had great intentions, but she had a rather wild imagination.
Right.
She would accuse rock musicians of being worshippers of Satan, promoters of suicide, of drug pushers, all sorts of rhetoric that went along with this. And when Tipper Gore first started in 1985, and when those famous Senate hearings happened where they actually agreed to create the parental advisory sticker, that was, a lot of their concerns were about the occult in music and drugs and violence in music and treatment of women. And by the time the sticker actually emerged in 1990, rap was the big concern. And rap had been around for almost a decade at that point. But no one had really cared until in the early 90s it became an issue for music censors because 70% of rap titles were being bought by white people. And so all of a sudden it wasn't that rap was new, it was that white kids were buying rap music and parents are going, whoa, wait a minute, what is this stuff? And so it's interesting now, 3 out of 5 albums by a black artist carry a parental warning sticker, only 1 out of 5 by a white artist carry a parental warning sticker.
So who are we protecting? I mean, are we protecting the teenagers? Because it's freedom of speech. These people are getting out of here and just expressing themselves. It's how you take the music. A lot of times teenagers might, use that as an excuse to act the way that they act. But it's just an expression. You got to use your brain.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is when you start scrutinizing some of the claims people make, that it promotes drugs, it makes people more violent or have sex before their peers. When you start scrutinizing these claims, and scientifically it's been researched time and time again, there is no connection between the music and people's behavior. Music does influence the way you dress, maybe the way you talk, how you do your hair type of things. But when it comes to moral or ethical issues like having sex or killing someone or doing drugs, there's no connection. And it's kind of difficult for people to understand, but it's really true. For an example, something that's been in the press recently is the controversy around Eminem and homophobic and misogynist lyrics on his album. While those topics are not something I'm trying to endorse in any way, I personally am opposed to those as well as many people are. He sold 9 million copies of that album. And I think you'd be hard-pressed to find one person who had said, you know, I woke up this morning, I listened to my Eminem records, I'm going to go out and beat up a homosexual today because Eminem told me it was cool to do it. You're never going to find a single person. Out of 9 million copies of that record sold, you can't find one person that actually did that.
Okay, we'll get to the serious side of that when we're talking about suicide a little bit later, because that's also been, suicides have been blamed for music as well. But you said something very interesting. You're talking about how the black music, the rap, has been given more of the advisory. I think this stuff has been going on from way back, when parents didn't want their kids listening to black music. Think about Pat Boone doing Little Richard tunes.
Right.
Is that a form of music censorship as well?
It is because it's many times it's against the wishes of the creator of the music. You have people, R&B in the 1950s, it was the first time that American popular culture had really openly embraced the music of black America. And so therefore you had jazz and had some adaptability before that, swing and different things, but never really that kind of mass appeal. And at that time, the idea of having a white teenager having a poster on their wall of a black performer was really considered to be just way over the line. So what they did to make the music industry, to make it more acceptable to people, was they would hire, or sometimes even just kind of create bands that would cover these songs. And Pat Boone's interesting because he did 60 different records where he took an R&B artist's song and redid it, changed the lyrics around in his words. This is a quote from him, to make it more vanilla.
Oh,
That's what he said. And he would do this, and he made his career. He had 6 #1 singles.
Oh, I know. It's almost obscene hearing Pat Boone do Tutti Frutti, but I don't know. It happens.
But the thing is, in order to make it interesting, as someone who listens to a lot of music and criticizes a lot of music, a lot of the things that make the Little Richard version so infectious and enduring today are the exact same things that Pat Boone removed from it in order to make it more acceptable. Because, you know, here you have Pat Boone, he wears a suit, a tie, nice clean cut, and he's white, and therefore he can, whole thing on here, he's a lot more acceptable to parents when the kids bring the record home.
Well, Little Richard, I heard Little Richard say that, you know, the kids might have been having the Pat Boone albums out on their record, but the Little Richard ones were underneath their bed.
So they're gonna hide it.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, is it a big race thing? Is that what you're saying? Because hard rock sometimes has the same lyrics that, you know, hip hop and rap is giving out.
You'll see that sometimes there'll be a parental warning sticker. It's interesting. There's no standard. Like with the movie industry, when they rate movies, there's one board that looks at all the movies and assigns a rating. With CDs, it's just a sticker. There's no standard. Every label puts it on whatever standard, however they want, for whatever criteria they want. So if you hear a certain word on one record and they put a sticker on because of it, you may hear that word on other records. It's just, it's basically, is this going to be considered controversial or not? And when you have the kind of the flavor of the month of, you know, now it's kind of like Slipknot and Marilyn Manson and those type of things as being, those always get stickers. It doesn't matter what's on, right? And up until just recently, and even today to some extent, you know, you had rap music. Almost every rap CD came out had a sticker on it just because it was a rap CD. And you had an incident, interestingly, with Walmart once, Busy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony. He had a song on one of his records that was talking about how bad school violence was. And he's rapping really fast when he's doing it. A group of parents in Los Angeles area thought that he was actually condoning violence in schools and saying it's bad. And so they asked Walmart to remove it. Walmart removed that record from every store. You can't buy that record in a Walmart.
And they didn't even know. Just because he was rapping fast, they thought it was a bad message.
No, and Walmart knew that it was what the correct meaning was. But because the parents complained, Walmart said, you know, this is a controversial record. We don't want to have it in our stores.
Now, why can't Busy Bone do something about that? I mean, does he have no recourse about an issue like that?
Well, I don't think he does. A lot of these decisions, like for example Walmart and Kmart, when they sell records, a lot of times they're altered. Either the album artwork or the actual content of the CD is changed. There's bleeps in it, words are gone, song titles have changed, different things. The artist doesn't make those changes, the record company does. And so they make things to make it more acceptable. And a lot of times the artist is kind of powerless. And also, there's a tremendous amount of apathy among artists about this too. That they'll say, hey, you know, if it's for sale at Walmart, you know, I'll sell X number, but if if I'll sell 4.5 million copies, but if it doesn't sell at Walmart, you know, it'll be 4 million copies. You know, who cares? Who cares what they do? You know, hey, I'm still making money. I'm still being able to do this, but Once you assign that level of permissibility to it, saying it's okay to say this or it isn't okay to say that, it's a real quick trip to, well, okay, this woman dresses a little too provocatively, so we're not going to let her do a CD. Or this guy, he talks about, you know, political issues, so we don't want his CD.
And can't that be really dangerous? Because at that point, people don't even consider the content or anything like that. If they don't like you, it could be very politically charged. Ooh! All right, this is a really hot topic. We're visiting with Eric Nuzum. He is the author of Parental Advisory. We'll be back with more about music censorship in America right after this.